welcome to my channel. I'm Anna. I run an Etsy shop where I sell stationery including stickers aimed at planners and journals and various other art related items. If you're a stationery addict like me, don't forget to subscribe and welcome to my channel. Hello. I wasn't expecting to make a video today, but I've just had a job interview and been offered a job. So I need to get some content made before I start this job. Also, I've done my hair and makeup for the interview because it was a video interview, and thought I'll make the most of it and make a video. So yeah, I thought I would make the long-ish video that I've kind of been avoiding to kind of back up the blog that I wrote about 15 things that I've learned from running a creative business. So I'm just going to run through those now, and just kind of talk a bit more casually about them, because I feel like sometimes when you write things down it doesn't come across in the same way, or some people would just prefer to hear it rather than actually sit and read my boring blog. I actually printed it off because I can't remember what I said, so I'm not going to read it, but I'm just going to go through the points anyway before I actually get distracted and start waffling about stuff that isn't related to this video. I'm just gonna go for it. Right, tip number 1 is you have to be your loudest cheerleader, and by this it might not even relate to you. You might not have this issue the entire time that you are working for yourself, or are just surrounded by great people that are really supportive. But yeah, you have to be your proudest cheerleader, loudest cheerleader, biggest fan, because there will be people that come out with things like, when are you going to get a real job? Are you still making those little stickers? Are you, have you actually started, making any money yet? And why are you doing this? Why are you wasting your time? Like, you just want to be self-employed so you can sit at home and do nothing all day, those sort of people. I genuinely don't know what the right response is. I imagine someone more mature than me would say rise above it and walk away. I prefer the idea that you just tell them to unboil their own head, to be honest. Having said that, that is really, really difficult to do, especially when you're at the beginning of this and you're not even sure yourself, and you feel really vulnerable and you're really scared that you're taking this risk, and you don't even think that you're good enough to do this anyway, and then you've got these people saying all this shit that you really don't need to hear right now. And it's really hard to stand up for yourself when you're not even sure of yourself. If that makes sense. So yeah, in that situation, if you don't have, the reserves to tell this person to boil their own head, just walk away, just ignore them, just shut it out. If it's someone that's doing this constantly, cut them out, don't need it. Focus on what you're doing, go do it, ignore what they're saying, you don't need to listen. Listen to me, I'm telling you to go do it now. Right, tip 2. This kind of follows on from that one. Again, nobody is going to push you. I could be wrong. You might have someone in your life that is pushing you, but 90% of the time when you work for yourself, you have to be the one that motivates you. If you need to be in the office and getting on with orders at 7 o'clock in the morning, no one is going to push you out of bed and say, come on, you need to get going. Yeah, there's no one around to motivate you to keep going. You don't have a manager, you don't have a supervisor, you don't have any co-workers, you've got nobody here, it's just you. And that applies to like mental motivation as well. But yeah, you just have to find something that keeps you going. I can't remember what I've written down here, but I've written quite a lot. Yeah, part of the thing is remembering why you're doing it. Right, on my blog, I have a picture that I posted, I don't think you can see that, of the artwork I have. You can't see it, but it's posted here. I have a section here of like my kids' artwork. And if there is something very specific that motivates you, maybe it's a picture of your children, drawings they've done, a car that you want to buy with the money that you make from your business, something that motivates you, stick it up where you work to like focus your energy and just focus on that goal for that thing that you want, you know. And look at work like work. Like, obviously working for yourself comes with that fun flexibility, you know, you're your own boss, you know, by all means take advantage of those perks, but also having a schedule and getting ready for your day rather than, you know, flopping out of bed at 10 o'clock in the morning, coming down into your office in your pajamas, not bothering to get ready for work, isn't going to make you feel good, and it isn't going to make you create your best work. Some sort of schedule I find really helpful because I'm up, I'm ready to go, and it's just like as if I was going into the office. Tip 3 kind of follows on from that, and that is remembering your why. And that is that applies to that in terms of motivation, but also in terms of your focus. I added this because I have struggled, especially creatively, with getting lost in my head in trying to make or design products or create artwork that would make money. And I have become so focused on what is going to make money, what is trending, and losing sight of why I started doing this in the first place. I wanted to work for myself because I wanted to create things that I wanted to create. I wanted to create things that are my ideas, are my style. And excuse me, I've just had my lunch. Yeah, just creating things specifically because they're trending, or, you know, looking at what everyone else is doing and making things, not copying other people, but just, you know, following the crowd. And it's really easy to do that because you want to make money, and you do need to do research. And obviously, you know, at Halloween you want to bring out Halloween products, and everyone is bringing out the same sort of thing. That's not copying, that's not what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's really easy to just get lost in worrying about what you're creating is going to make money, and unfortunately there is always a risk in creating and selling it. It might not sell, but you have to just hold on to why you're doing it and think about your passion, and, you know, just try something else. You know, I put stuff out all the time. Sometimes it flops, sometimes it doesn't, and it is disheartening. But yeah, you just have to remember why you're doing it. You're doing it for the art, for the passion, for the creativity. Obviously money is a part of it, and I'm sure there are some business people on here that would be like, I can't eat dreams for breakfast, Anna. I can't eat my paint for breakfast, Anna. No, you can't. No, you can't. You need to make money, obviously. But it's really easy to get lost in that, and money for me is a massive creative block, and then my products suffer, the amount of designs I create suffers, and it's not good for anyone. Obviously keep finances in your mind, but don't make them the sole focus and the reason why you are creating, because it will kill your creativity in an instant, because it's not inspiring. Sometimes it is, you know, but not majority of the time it's not. And imposter syndrome is tip 4. Imposter syndrome. There are tons and tons of videos about this on YouTube, and there's a massive reason why, because I would say it's a massive struggle for most people, but particularly in creative industries, because what you're creating is so personal to you. It's so easy to worry constantly that you are a fraud. Why would someone want to buy something that I've made? Why is something that I've made good enough for someone to spend their hard-earned money on it? And then obviously you've got social media and you're constantly seeing your work compared to other people that have years more experience, other people that have completely different styles. And I'm pretty sure I included the definition on my blog post. The definition of imposter syndrome is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. People suffering from imposter syndrome may be at increased risk of anxiety. Yeah, it's sometimes just really, really hard to believe that, you know, that you're good enough. And I honestly can't think of any single one thing that helps with that, because for me it goes up and down. If I'm having a bad day or my self-esteem is just low in general, you know, that imposter syndrome chat comes in quite heavy. If I'm having a good day and, you know, confidence is high, you know, imposter syndrome is like down here. It's one of those things that will be a constant kind of, not a battle, but something that you just need to be aware of. If you find that those thoughts are creeping in, you know, you will have your own ways of dealing with them. And if you've been on social media a lot and you're doing a lot of comparing, stop. Stay off social media if you need to. If you've been watching a lot of artists on YouTube and it's getting you down just looking at their work in comparison to yours, just don't watch for a bit. Focus on your own stuff. And I included actually a really nice quote that I found online. Comparison kills creativity. There is room for you. Nobody else can do it with your voice, with your experience, with your insight. So you have decided to create and sell your creations and do this as your job. You're turning what I imagine is your hobby into your job. And there's a reason why you love that hobby, and there's a reason why you want to share it with everyone. And only you can share that version of that skill, whether that's, you know, music, art, crochet, I don't know, your version of whatever creative skill it is that you do. You are the only person on the planet that can do it in the way that you do it. Even if you think it's worse than the other person that you can see online, it may be, what am I trying to say? You know, even when you look at something that you've done and you feel like it's worse in comparison to what someone else is doing, there is an element of skill in those things. And, you know, there is nothing wrong with being motivated by seeing someone else's work and seeing, oh, you know, they've done that so much better than I could. I wonder how they've done that. There's nothing wrong with that, and wanting to, you know, improve your skill. The problems come when you see that, and you see someone else's work, and you think, oh, well, mine doesn't look like that. Why am I bothering? I might as well not bother. I might as well just give up. That doesn't help anyone. If, you know, you crochet and someone is doing, I don't know, a crocheted lion, and their lion just, you know, looks really good and is, you know, you wish you could make a lion like that. Research it. Research why their lion looks that way. And maybe you've got your own lion, and maybe it's not a bad lion. Maybe it's just different to the one that, you know, this other person has made. Your version of things isn't necessarily bad. It's just different. And that is why we all need to share our creativity, because we all have a different version of it. You know, there are lots of people that draw in the same style that I draw in, but only I interpret my style and my creativity in that way. Because there are just so many combinations of styles and you know, mediums, and just like unlimited combinations of ways that you can create with things, but only you can show them in your way, with your personality. So yeah, no more comparing, no more imposter syndrome. We're just doing our own thing, sharing our creativity in our way. It's not bad, it's just different. That's it. That is what I'm trying to say. That was a lot of waffle for a very, very simple tip. But anyway, tip 5 is doing something is always better than nothing. And I can't take any credit for this tip because this was something that I discovered on another YouTuber's channel called Struthless, which I highly recommend because he has amazing videos on creativity and productivity and just mental health in general. Really helpful. I will put a link either here if I can or in the description. But yeah, he says that and I found this really helpful. Doing something is always better than doing nothing, and that comes when when you've got loads of projects or a really, really big project, and this can affect you in personal life as well. Say you've got your whole house that needs cleaning and it's just so overwhelming that you don't even want to start it, so you're just avoiding it, just can't be bothered, it's just too much, I can't do it. And then the house just gets worse, your mental health gets worse, nothing is being done because you're just in this perpetual state of avoiding. And the best thing you can do in that situation is just start, just do something. You don't have to do it all at once, just do something, just hoover one room, tidy up one room, tidy up one section of a room if it's that bad. And normally once you start and make it something small, you will find that you end up doing more because starting is always the hardest part, and then normally once you get the ball rolling, it will roll a bit faster. Also with that, breaking things down into small tasks and making them less overwhelming I find really helpful. If I have a big project, I will break it down even into smallest tasks in the world, like sketch 1 sticker, sketch 3 stickers today, then outline the stickers. If you're in that place where you just can't get going, start small, and then more often than not, before you've even noticed, you would have done more than you even planned to. Say if you say, right, I really don't feel like drawing today, I'm just going to draw for 5 minutes, and then you start drawing for 5 minutes, and before you know it, half an hour has gone by. Another tip that I've just seen written down here that he says is the 2-minute rule. And I use this all the time because I am so bad for putting things off, even though they're really, really quick jobs. And then I will end up with this never-ending mental list in my head because I'm trying to remember all these little things that I need to do but haven't done yet. So they're just sat in here taking up valuable space that could be designing a sticker. So yeah, the rule is that if something is going to take less than 2 minutes, just do it now. Don't put it off, don't write it down anywhere, just stop what you're doing and go do it. It's 2 minutes, it's 120 seconds out of your day, just go do it, and then it's done, and then it's already ticked off your list. You don't need to write it down. Sorted. Yeah. Tip number 6 is mainly for if you are at the beginning stage of starting your business, and that is to keep things simple. And I definitely really, really struggled with this, and I have seen a couple of other people mention it in similar videos, that at the beginning it's really, really easy to stress out about absolutely everything, stuff that doesn't even matter. I remember at the beginning I thought, oh god, that I had to come up with the perfect business name, my leaflets had to be perfect, my branding had to be perfect, I had to have everything figured out right now, and it's just not true. And I also found that in doing that I was creating a lot of excuses, which follows on into the next tip actually, so I won't talk about that a lot here, but you just need to keep things simple. Just come up with a name just so that you can get on. Come up with a name, come up with a quick leaflet design, come up with a quick logo. You can change all of those things later. All you need to worry about right now is getting started and just to get going before, you know, your motivation runs out. But yeah, I definitely got stuck in this stage thinking that I just had to have everything planned, and I have changed things over and over again since then, and I've been self-employed now for 8 years. I've had, I think, 4 different logos, I've had 2 different names. You don't need to have everything figured out right now, because in a couple of years you might feel completely different about your business and want to change the name anyway. So just, you know, stick something down. You could be really boring like me and just use your name. Yeah, and that follows on to my next point, which is plan, but then, tip number 7, sorry, plan, but then stop planning. And this is a big one that I struggle with all the time. And you know when you get really excited about starting something new, and so you plan, and the planning stage is so much fun that you end up getting stuck there because you're scared almost to move on from the planning, which is so much fun and risk-free, to actually make that step and go and do the thing that you are planning to do. So yeah, stop planning and start doing what it is that you are planning to do. Yeah, planning is fun, and obviously you need to do it, you need to do your research, you need to put things in place, figure out, you know, all the things that you need to figure out when it comes to a small business. But starting this and doing the work is always going to be scary. It doesn't matter how much you plan, there are going to be things that you're going to do wrong. There are things that you're going to learn on the job, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So if you are still planning now and you are avoiding taking that next step into actually doing, stop planning, put your planner down, and actually, you know, go and make some products, or take the products that you've already made and put them online. It's time to start selling them. Number 8 is probably an obvious one, and that is to take care of yourself. When you're self-employed, obviously you don't have any set hours, so it's really easy to just work all hours. I know I was really guilty of this after my divorce, because working was just better than acknowledging it, and yeah, burnout is a real thing. So yeah, if you find that you're struggling to come up with ideas, work that, you know, you used to love doing is now becoming like a real chore, you know, it feels like you're walking through sand all the time, it's time to take a break. If there's a very specific project that you need to get done, and, you know, once that's done you can take a break, that's different. But if this is continuous and this is, you know, every single day, you know, you're putting in 18-hour days, it's not sustainable. It is very easy to want to do that and to, you know, put everything into it, and at some points you do need to, because there's no one else, it's just you. But you do need to take breaks, look after yourself, make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure you're not, you know, working until the moment that you fall asleep. You know, I say that when I normally fall asleep with my iPad. Terrible, I should take my own advice. But yeah, it's difficult, but we, include me, we definitely need to take better care of ourselves and not throw everything into it, because we are more than this as well. You know, we have families and things that need us. We need to look after ourselves. Also, nobody wants a tech neck, which is something that I have struggled with, and I definitely don't want to have a hump when I get older. So another thing I recommend, if you have to sit at a desk or sit over a desk drawing, just like, sometimes I'll just like lay on the floor. I'll just be like, right, I've had enough, I'm just going to lay on the floor for 5 minutes because my back hurts. And I remember actually listening to a Claire Weeks video. Yeah, she was talking about mental health, and how sometimes when she's at work, and she was a GP, and she says she takes breaks before the exhaustion sets in, which makes sense. You know, prevention is always better than cure. So she will say that, you know, every hour I will set it to my clock and I will take a break and go and lie down for 5 minutes, and then that stops my back reaching the point where it starts to ache, which makes sense. So yeah, just like every couple of hours, just go and lay on the floor, go and do something else, go walk around the garden or something. I definitely like to stretch. I wish I had one of those stand-up desks that, you know, could move so you could sit down or stand up. That would be the goal. But yeah, look after yourself, and I do this a lot. So I don't really have like the position to tell anyone not to do this, but try not to eat while you work. I definitely eat sat here while I'm working. And I notice that when it's been warm, if I go and sit out in my garden and eat my lunch, I feel so much better than when I sit here and carry on working and just eat through it. So yeah, we should take breaks. No one gives us breaks. There are no set-in breaks, so we should definitely take breaks. They don't have to be long breaks, just breaks. Right, tip number 9. It's serious, but not that serious. Yeah, this is just, how do I word this? This kind of relates to, I suppose, in this situation, like when I get bad Etsy reviews, you know, back when I first started, I thought it was the end of the world. And, you know, as time has gone on, and, you know, it doesn't happen very often, because, you know, I think I'm pretty good at doing this now. You know, stuff gets lost. The postman, you know, sometimes just doesn't fulfill his role and lets me down. But, you know, majority of the time I put everything I have into my stickers, and yeah, bad reviews are few and far between. But they do happen sometimes, and majority of the time it's nothing to do with you. You know, sometimes someone's just had a bad day and, you know, they just want to take it out on someone. You know, half of the bad reviews I have are about the postman, and I'm not quite sure what I can say to someone when they're upset about the postman, because it's nothing to do with me. Just so you know. Yeah, that's the case for most businesses. If something like has arrived like broken, it isn't their fault, it's the postman's fault. Yeah, I had one actually that was delivered to America, so not even like specifically like my country's postman, and he delivered it into a puddle. Not cool. But yeah, just it's not that serious. It's not personal, you know, unless someone's being like outright nasty. But even then, you know, they're probably having a bad day. It says a lot more about them than it does you if someone is just leaving an outright nasty review. What else have I written here? Yeah, you started a creative business because you love it, because you have something you want to create and share with the world. You should share your personality along with that and let it shine through every part of your business, how you communicate with customers, or even the dreaded social media. The internet is filled with a lot of bored and bitter people. Yes, it is. I'm not included in that, by the way. Yeah, some people are just going to complain, but yeah, just because you're running a business, it doesn't have to be serious. It's not. You know, you're working for yourself, you're running a fun, creative business that is doing things that make people happy. Yeah, we don't need to take absolutely everything super seriously. Tip number 10 is probably one you've heard before, which is try, fail, and then try again. Which goes back to my previous point about the fact that you will create things that will flop and die. That's a bit depressing, wasn't it? But yeah, there is nothing wrong with that. You know, you're trying. The most important thing is that you make something. It doesn't do well, you perhaps learn from it, maybe remake it in a different way, and then try again. Or, you know, that product just isn't meant to be. Move on. Let's try something new. We don't need to dwell on the things that have failed. We just, you know, have a moan, get a cup of tea and a good chocolate biscuit, and then move on with your life. Tip number 11, which definitely applies to me. All of these apply to me, because obviously things that I've learned. But yeah, this one is you are not too old. So to anyone that is a similar age to me or older, I am 34 in case you wanted to know that. Yeah, for me it was worrying that I am too old to start this new kind of like adventure. You know, I had 2 kids. I was going through like a rough patch in my marriage. I am now divorced. And I just wasn't sure if I could do this as a stay-at-home mum, a single stay-at-home mum. Like, I say almost 40, but I'm not almost 40 really, but it feels like I'm almost 40. Like, it feels like, you know, the time for like change and adventure is over, which is absolutely not true. So yeah, I'm not quite sure why. I definitely think that affects women more than it does men, because I feel like after like 35, women are just expected to, you know, like go out to pasture and die. But yeah, definitely not the case. I will still be here when I'm 40. Yeah, I don't know why I felt that way, but also I've even seen recently that, you know, a lot of the like best artists and illustrators that I follow are a similar age to me or also have little kids. And for some reason in my head, I just thought that everyone else on social media was like early 20s and had no kids, and I just thought there was no way I was going to be able to compete with people like that. And it's not the case. Like, there's so many like female artists that I've seen that have done the exact same thing and started this during, you know, their maternity leave, or this came out as a product of their postpartum depression. And it's good to see. And yeah, we are definitely not too old. Definitely not too old. You'll never be too old. Oh, I have a quote, a nice quote from Walt Disney. Laughter is timeless, imagination has no age, and dreams are forever. Tip number 12 is work doesn't have to be boring. This might only be specific to me, but yeah, along with kind of like not taking things too seriously, I thought that I had to take this seriously, and that, you know, I had to have a proper schedule, and I had to make, you know, everything just like, I don't really know how to explain it, as if I was like at work. I thought it had to be like that, which isn't the case. Why does my hair look so flat? It's because I straightened it for my interview and I'm not used to it, and it looks so flat. Yeah, anyway. Oh, that's worse. That is worse. Maybe if I flip it to the other side. Better. That might be a bit too much volume. It's fine. That's not why you're here, is it? You don't care about my hair. Oh, fuck off. Not touching my hair anymore. Right, yeah, work doesn't have to be boring. And once I kind of like decorated my office as it is now, I found it a lot more inspiring, and I wanted to be here, and it kind of reminded me of my old bedrooms as like a teenager, and they were like my happy place. You know, I'd have all my art and all my photographs of like my friends and stuff all over the walls, and you know, I'd have my like computer set up, and this reminds me of that. And when I think as an adult, you know, when you start families and, you know, you move in with people and you get married and things like that, you lose that space because the whole house becomes your space, but it also becomes a shared space with everyone. There's no specific place that's just yours anymore, and I definitely really missed that once I kind of like moved in with my ex-husband. And then when I got this space, it just like, I don't know, it changed like my mental health so much, just having this space that was just mine. You know, I could decorate it just for me. It's a space where no one else comes in. It's just my space. I don't know if that's just me, but I really like having my own space. The kids do come in here, but they're not really allowed in here on their own because I don't know what they're touching. Oh, sorry, burping, gross. So yeah, make your space your happy space. You know, have scented candles, listen to music while you're working, have a film on in the background if that inspires you. You know, it doesn't need to be super serious, it doesn't need to be boring, it doesn't mean that you're not working. And I think that was the narrative I had going on, that if I wasn't stressed out and my workplace wasn't serious, then I wasn't actually working, I was just chilling out. You know, if my work is fun, then does it count as work? You know, am I just sat here chilling? Maybe I am. Maybe that's why I chose to do this as a job. It makes sense, you know, when you say it out loud. But yeah. Tip number 13 is people don't care as much as you think. And this is one that I am trying to cling on to for dear life at the moment. In that, you know, most people are more bothered about their own stuff than they are about yours. There are, you know, exceptions to that rule, as I mentioned before, the bitter people online. But yeah, people don't care as much as you think. You know, I look back at my videos and I'm looking at my hair, I'm looking at my double chin sticking out, you know, my dimples. I'm looking at all these things that probably no one else is noticing. And, you know, I don't notice these things on other YouTubers, and that is something that is kind of pushing me through with actually getting into YouTube properly, because it is something I've wanted to do for a while. I actually said this to my daughter, she is almost 9. I said this to her the other night. I was like, oh Emily, I've been making YouTube videos, but I'm too nervous to upload them because my face is in these new videos. And she just looked at me, she went, it's not that bad. Like, thanks child. But yeah, people don't care as much as you think, and people are probably never as critical as you are. So if you want to make YouTube videos, make YouTube videos, and I will upload these videos at some point, hopefully. I mean, obviously if you're watching this, I have uploaded them, but it is currently the 20th of September, and I imagine it's going to be a significant period of time after that when you see this. Tip number 14 is a big one and probably wraps up all of these points, and that is to stop making excuses. And I have a list here of the top common excuses that people make, and that is, or the reasons why people make excuses, and that is fear of failure. It's easy to say I'm too busy than to risk failing at something we care about, and the idea that something you put your heart and soul into could flop is very scary. It is scary. It might flop, but it doesn't. If it flops, it's not because you're bad at what you do. You just need to learn something from it or try something else. Maybe that product flopped because, you know, you brought it out at the wrong time. Maybe it was too early in the season or too late. Not everything is black and white. It doesn't necessarily mean that that product was bad. Okay. Perfectionism. We wait for the perfect time or the perfect conditions, but they rarely come. There will never be a perfect time, and I'll say it again, tomorrow is promised to nobody. Yeah, there is no perfect time to do something like this. Obviously there are elements to it that you need to consider. You know, if you're planning to quit your job to do this, there are financial things that you need to think about, but I would have thought, you know, all of those things would be kind of common sense. No one is going to quit their job tomorrow and, you know, try and do this with no backup. If you have a backup, that's great, you know, feel free. But, you know, there has to be some sort of common sense applied to situations like this. But again, things don't need to be perfect. You just need to make sure that, you know, your mortgage is paid, things like that. But that can be applied to most things in life. You know, like everyone says, there's no perfect time to have kids. There is no situation where, you know, a baby can arrive and your life isn't flipped upside down. Yeah, there is no perfect time. It's never going to be perfect. You just have to go and do it and just see what happens. Lack of motivation. Sometimes it's hard to find the energy, especially when a task feels overwhelming. Go back to tip 5, break it down and do a small task every day. Set a small goal. Anything is better than nothing. So yeah, if you're finding this whole thing really overwhelming, just make a list of all the things you need to do to get this business in place, and then just aim to do one of them each day. So say like day one, come up with a name for the business and stick to it. Make sure you have a name before you go to bed that night and write it next to it. Step two, what are you going to sell? Make sure you write that down by the end of the day. And then by the end of the week or month or however long it's going to take you, your business will be planned. Comfort zone. Change is uncomfortable. Excuses allow us to stay in the safety of what we know. I personally hate change, but I also hate sitting still and nothing changes if you don't change things. Sounds so obvious, but it's hard. It is very hard. I am definitely guilty of this because I love routines, and yeah, I find kind of, don't know how to explain it, I find not having a routine or not knowing what I'm doing very uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm going to be starting this new job, and it's something that, you know, I've been looking for work for a year now, but it's also something I'm really scared about because, you know, I have a routine. You know, I work at home, and then I take care of my kids, and I know what's happening, whereas at the minute I'm going to be working somewhere else during the week. I'm going to have to get orders and things and other work done on this at the weekend. Somewhere in there I've got to fit in, you know, spending time with my kids and having a life. And it's a lot to kind of process, so I'm just trying to focus on now, and I would definitely recommend doing that as well. I definitely get lost in thinking that, you know, if I've got this situation that's going on, I need to figure it all out right now. I've got all this stuff I need to do right now, and it's not true. All I need to do right now is what's actually happening right now, which is normally only about this much stuff. You know, all of this is going to be done, you know, starting this new job. All of this isn't going to happen at once. You know, I'm going to start that job and I'm going to do day one of that job and then day two. And it's not this kind of like massive thing when you break it down into little days, and just focus on that day instead of all the days that follow it and trying to figure out how you're going to deal with all of those days right now. Does that make sense? But yeah, it's really easy to do that, and I definitely try and just focus on right now. Where are we? Yeah, that was the comfort zone, wasn't it? And things being overwhelming. At the bottom here it says, every time we make an excuse, we miss an opportunity to grow, learn or achieve something meaningful. So have an honest think about why you're avoiding starting that thing that you want to start, sorry. Yeah. And there is another quote on here. I used to think that this was Albert Einstein, but after I googled it, apparently Albert Einstein never said this, and that people just assumed that he did. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So yeah, if you continue to stay in your comfort zone, you will stay in your comfort zone, which sounds really obvious, but I think it's really easy to just, you know, assume that things are going to change for you, and they don't. You know, I think they do when you're like a kid or a teenager, and you know, your parents are kind of like, and you have all these opportunities around you that are changing your life for you. I need my cat fight going on. Sorry about the plane. Yeah, but when you're an adult, you have to go out and do those things yourself. So yeah, it is really scary. Yeah, just small little bits. You don't have to do it all at once. Yeah, and hopefully you have people around you as well that are really supportive that you can talk to, and that always helps. Last tip 15 is research and practice never hurts. And yeah, that's pretty obvious. If you're going to start anything, you need to research it, and obviously if you're going to be selling a skill, you need to practice it. I really like doing art tutorials even now, because I'm definitely nowhere near top end of my craft, and I like to learn new things as well. Like, I'll do tutorials and I'll learn about new Procreate brushes or new techniques, or you know, I'll have been doing something I really long-winded way, and then I find out there's a much shorter way to do it, and that's really annoying, but it's also really nice to know. Yeah, I also find that, especially with drawing, or maybe other creative skills actually, you get stuck in a comfort zone there as well, and doing tutorials, or going to classes and doing things to try and improve your skill can also push you out of your comfort zone and make you do things that you never would have tried before. So not only are you improving the skill, but you're also increasing your confidence. Like when I really don't like drawing hands, as I don't think anyone likes drawing hands, do they? But yeah, after watching tutorials and forcing myself to draw hands, it actually becomes something that you're all right drawing, and then that opens up kind of like more poses that you can draw. If you don't like drawing legs, you just learn how to draw legs better or in a different way, and then this like a whole other world has opened up where you can draw these characters with their legs in different ways. Whereas if you stay only drawing your select little things in your own select little style, you stay here while art is like out here and you're not experiencing any of it. So yeah, I would say that applies to most things, but even more so if you are running a creative business on your own. You need to keep your skill fresh and new. I've actually just started a new sketchbook, which isn't something I've done for a while because I've just been doing art on my iPad for such a long time now, and I haven't been doing any kind of like traditional art because everything I was doing was just for the business. It's been really nice to just get pencil back onto paper again and just mess about. And I would apply that to this section as well. You don't always have to be creating for your business or your shop or whatever it is that you're doing. Just go and do some stuff for fun, and you'll probably find that inspires you even more than if you were to just sit and stare at your screen trying to come up with ideas. I think that's everything. Yeah, I haven't yet. It says it at the bottom of the blog. I don't know if you can see that. Coming soon. Oh yeah, it's backwards, isn't it? 'Cause I'm on my selfie camera. I am going to put the tips into like a poster maybe, and then have that as a free download on my website, just in case any of these are helpful, or if you'd like to just have them kind of like sat somewhere in your office or your creative space. Just to remind you that not only do you not need to kind of like dwell on all of these things or have these things be roadblocks, they don't need to be, but also that in the knowledge, know that everyone else in your position has experienced all these things on the list as well. I imagine there are more as well, because I've only been running my sticker shop now for 4 years. I imagine there are a lot more things that you could put on that list, and maybe a lot more advice that you could put on there. But yeah, for me it's definitely helpful just knowing that everyone else felt the way that I did at the beginning and still do now on some days, because we're just human and we have up and down days. We have like high anxiety days, we have low confidence days, we have days where we want to quit. I have those. I have days, why am I bothering? My stickers are rubbish, other people's stickers are better than mine, I don't have time for this, why am I doing this? And then the next day I'm just like, can't wait to get in my office and make some stickers. It doesn't make sense, but it's just the way it is, isn't it? It's part of being human. It's gonna go up and down, good days, bad days. So yeah, I really hope that maybe one or two or all of these tips have been helpful. Maybe something resonated with you. I really hope that maybe some of these tips have encouraged you to, let go of whatever it is that is scaring you or putting you off doing this. and that now you're just going to go for it. And then, especially if you're going to have an Etsy shop, you will hear those ching going off on your phone. So yeah, I really hope that this was useful, and I will have another video, I think, next week at some point. I've made 2 this week, which is a shock. Yeah, this is my 5th video I've made now, and I haven't uploaded any of them. So yeah, I'm going to hopefully edit my first video over the weekend. I did post a story on Instagram yesterday saying that I have been making these secret videos, and I'd had 12 responses quite quickly saying yes, we want to see your videos, which is really helpful, and it's nice to hear, because it is really scary. Like, even though I share my stuff on Instagram, I think with YouTube being a lot more personal, because obviously, like, it's my face, you know, it's my voice, it's my ideas, my opinions, you know, I don't know, it's a lot more scary, but we're doing it anyway. Yeah, so I hope that you're having a good day. I really hope that these tips encourage you to try something, or start that business that you want to start, or, you know, tell that person that is telling you that you're wasting your time to shut up. So I will see you soon, and bye.